NASCAR, you have outdone yourself. This script, the twist at the end with Christopher Bell blowing a motor, I did not see that coming. If I may offer just one slight criticism, do we need the second twist? This Austin Cindric character? See, our focus groups say audiences really like this Ryan Blaney character. Are we sure we can't just have him win the... No, you really... Okay, he runs out of gas, Austin Cindric. All right, well, hey, you're the expert, you're the genius. Let's print it, let's run it, let's do it. How's it going, y'all? My name is Eric. Welcome to Out of the Groove. Unbelievable. I think that's the best word I can choose to describe the finish to today's race at Gateway. We will cover everything. The Kyle and Kyle show turned ugly. We will get to that. Some surprising names finish inside the top 10. We'll get to that. We'll put this race on the groovy gauge towards the end, but let's begin with the final laps. The first of the two sudden Hollywood-style twists. Ryan Blaney was running second when he chose to make his final pit stop of the day with 64 laps to go. A suspiciously fast pit stop combined with him pitting a full lap earlier than leader Austin Cindric allowed Blaney to cycle to the race lead. Meanwhile, Christopher Bell, the fastest car all day, swept the first two stages. He made his final pit stop with 46 laps to go. Then, with nearly 20-lap fresher tires, Christopher Bell rocketed towards the front, past Austin Cindric, got to Ryan Blaney's rear bumper in no time. Ryan Blaney put on an absolute masterclass in defensive driving. The defending series champion, still looking for his first win of this season, did an incredible job holding off a much faster Christopher Bell, running that far outside line to maintain as much momentum as possible. Bell would get side by side but couldn't complete the pass, and the one time Bell did complete the pass, Ryan Blaney with the slick crossover to maintain position. Masterful driving by Ryan Blaney at the end of this race. He did everything right. He was so good that I'm convinced he forced Christopher Bell into a slight mistake. Bell, who had been virtually untouchable all day, even when he had only 2 tires on his car, he drove away from those with 4. That 20 car was blazing fast, but Ryan Blaney challenged him in a way few had challenged him all afternoon. Bell suddenly radioed engine issues. We're blowing up. Backed way off the pace, fell out of contention. Did he maybe miss a shift, over rev? They are shifting 2, 3, 4, 6, 8, 10 times a lap. They're downshifting from 5th down to 3rd, back up to 5th every single lap, every single corner nearly. Blaney gave Bell all he could possibly handle, and maybe even more. Christopher Bell did say after the race he doesn't know what happened, just some sort of engine failure, so maybe he didn't make a mistake. I'm not going to definitively say that's what happened, but how often do we see engines blow in the NASCAR Cup Series? Almost never these days. Pretty much 0% of the time. A lot of shifting at Gateway, a lot of opportunities to make a mistake, and as far as I know, the 20 was the only car to blow a motor or have any serious engine problems today, so I think he made a mistake because Blaney put up just an incredible effort. Ryan Blaney masterclass. I was extremely impressed. Looked like he was going to cruise off to his first win of the season. Well deserved. When on the white flag lap, as the white is in the air, the 12 slows. His teammate Austin Cindric scoots on by. You ran me out of freaking gas. Ryan Blaney is out of fuel without any prior indication. The team must not have gotten the car full of fuel. I said earlier, suspiciously fast pit stop with 64 to go. Maybe they didn't get everything they needed to in that car. Heartbreaking for Ryan Blaney, who again drove the wheels off that car, did everything right. He was never told, hey, we're a lap short, can you save us a bit? He was given no indication that fuel would be a concern, just a gut punch. Brutal way to lose a race, especially in the case of Blaney, who's still looking for his first win. He hasn't been in contention to win a whole lot of these races this year. Absolute gut punch for Blaney, Jonathan Hassler, that entire number 12 team. Just insane turn of events at the end of this race. 2 major twists that no one saw coming. Before we take a look at the finishing results, let's talk about the winner. Austin Cindric, welcome to the NASCAR Cup Series playoffs. Even before Bell had his issue, Blaney had his issue. This was easily the most impressive race Austin Cindric has ever run in his NASCAR Cup Series career. He has been invisible most of this season. I think he's 20th in points, which is actually an improvement over last year. But no one's talking about Austin Cindric, despite him being in the flagship Penske Blue Deuce number 2. Before today, Cindric had one top 10 this year. It was a 4th place run at Atlanta, a super speedway early in the season. His best finish at a non-drafting track this year was 15th at Dover. His average finish in the 11 non-drafting tracks this year was 25.2. That is god-awful, terrible, abysmal for a Penske driver. No one's talked about Austin Cindric this year. Again, he has been invisible. Today, he was extremely visible. He shined. Austin Cindric qualified on the front row, 2nd place, and stayed there for a change. Finished 4th in the opening stage, collected a ton of stage points, ran top 5 all afternoon, played the strategy right, caught the cautions when he needed to, and was in contention at the end. Was going to finish top 5, probably was going to finish 3rd when Bell and then Blaney had their issues. Look, sometimes you just have to be in the right position to take advantage of others' mistakes or misfortune. Did Austin Cindric have a winning car today? Not necessarily, but this was by far his best NASCAR Cup Series race to date. I know he won the Daytona 500. That obviously nothing really tops that. That's the biggest race you can possibly win. But as far as overall performance, managing a race, all the curveballs that were thrown at him, this was his most impressive performance by far. And he gets a win out of it. He comes out of this thing with a trophy and a playoff berth. Wow, what? Are you kidding? Good for him, man. Really, good for Austin Cindric. I hope this is the first of many. I hope this is like a turning point. I hope now we will start to see Austin Cindric in the top 10 far more frequently. We should be seeing him run top 10 more frequently. That's how good Penske typically is. And don't forget, it wasn't that long ago Austin Cindric won 6 Xfinity Series races in one season and backed that up with another 5-win year. Man was phenomenal in the Xfinity Series. It's taken some time, but maybe finally, at long last, he's beginning to come into his own and be a legitimate Cup Series contender. He's still extremely young. I think he's 25? Room to grow, room to improve. He's got the right team around him to do it. Congratulations, Austin Cindric. Hopefully this is the first of many. Would love to see another young driver figure it out and start to contend regularly. With perhaps the quietest 2nd place finish of the season, how about Denny Hamlin? I think that's 5 straight top 5s for DH. That's pretty impressive. Brad Keselowski finishes 3rd. He had a loose wheel early in this race, had to pit for a second time, lost all of his track position. I figured with how difficult it was to pass, his day was cooked. Lo and behold, they had enough speed, played the strategy right, ran long towards the end of this race. He finishes 3rd. Another great result for Brad Keselowski. Tyler Reddick in 4th. Where did he come from? Great result for the 2311 driver. Joey Logano finishes 5th. He won at Gateway 2 years ago. Great day for Penske. Cindric obviously wins the race. Blaney probably should have. And Joey Logano gets a top 5. Much needed as Logano tries to race his way in just outside of the top 16 in points. Austin Dillon scores a 6th place finish. At the beginning of stage 2, he stayed out. Chose track position over fresh tires, and that car was just good enough. He never really relinquished the spot he had. I'm checking my notes. He did stay out at the beginning of stage 3. Again, chose track position over tires. That worked out for him. But no, he just had a good car. At one point, he went right past his teammate Kyle Busch on equal tires. Christopher Bell hangs on for a 7th place finish despite his engine failing. Got a little help from his teammate Martin Truex Jr. That was kind of cute. Always like to see teammates help each other out. Good result, all things considered, but Christopher Bell is going to be extremely disappointed. He had the best car tonight by far, not even close. Ryan Blaney was putting up a great fight, but with 20 plus laps to go, I think Christopher Bell eventually was going to get around him if the engine problems didn't pop up. And before that, Bell won the first stage handily. He won the second stage handily. Regardless of pit strategy, that car was fast enough to pass his way through the field. It reminded me an awful lot of Christopher Bell's win at Phoenix. Another race at a flat oval where it was tough to pass, but the 20 could make moves others couldn't. I know Christopher Bell lost today, but the past 2 races, he's picked up 9 playoff points? If Christopher Bell makes it to his 3rd straight championship 4 this fall, I think he's the championship favorite. Led 50 laps and won Phoenix, could make moves nobody else could. Obviously, that's where the championship race is held, and many compare Gateway to Phoenix. It's a different configuration, at least a little bit, different rules package, at least a little bit, but again today, Bell and the 20 were in their own zip code most of the afternoon. I know Phoenix is, like 5 months away? We got a long ways to go. Others can catch up, but right now, if I'm making my picks, if Bell is there, he's the favorite. He has to get to Phoenix, though, and that is not a given. He earned a lot of playoff points the last couple weeks, but this 20 is so darn inconsistent. Before that win at Charlotte last week, remember he had a stretch from Martinsville to Dover, I think, where he finished 35th, 17th, 38th, 34th. All right in a row. So I hate inconsistency. Streaks are fun when things are going good, but they can be demoralizing when things are going bad. An issue today, or maybe a mistake, depending on how you look at it, cost him a good finish. That inconsistency could bite this team come playoff time. But if they make it, if they get to Phoenix, they're the favorites at this rate. Couple more names I have to mention. Shout out to Carson Hocevar. The rookie finishes 8th. There's a reason I'm wearing this shirt. It was this race 1 year ago that put Carson Hocevar on everyone's Cup Series radar. He filled in for Noah Gragson at the time in the struggling Legacy Motor Club number 42, and he drove that car up there towards the top 15 in his first Cup start before the brakes blew out on him. The brakes did not blow out today. Hocevar learned how to manage his stuff a little better and still came home with a tremendous top 10 effort. Great run by the rookie. And Justin Haley, every few weeks we say something about Justin Haley. He is doing a phenomenal job with Rick Ware Racing. 9th place. 9th. Super fun to watch. And finishing 10th is Kyle Larson. We still don't know if Kyle Larson is playoff eligible. NASCAR has not made a decision. They have not granted him a waiver. They haven't said they won't, but it's been at least 3 or 4 days now since Hendrick formally submitted the request. They never take this long. This is unprecedented. Granted, the situation Larson faced last weekend at Indy and Charlotte was also unprecedented. Larson battles back to finish 10th today. There was some drama midway through this race between Kyle Larson and Kyle Busch. Racing for 7th at the very end of stage 2, Larson gets into Kyle Busch's left rear a little on corner exit. Busch, you can see, runs Larson down the track, doors him a bit, shallows his entry, squeezes Larson into turn 1, which causes Larson to get loose, wipes out. Kyle Busch hard into the wall, the 8 car out, the 5 able to continue. Drama, Kyle and Kyle wrecking, racing inside the top 10. Don't see that every day. Great work by Fox, I will say, to go back and really see how the entire incident developed. Their cameras were on it. That's nice. I love this tweet I saw. Kinda sad a non-playoff contender took out a playoff contender. Technically not wrong, at least for now. No, but in all seriousness, looking at this incident, if you ask me, it's on Kyle Busch. Sure, Larson got into your left rear. No harm, no foul. Kyle Busch decided to run him down the track, door him as they entered the braking zone. Yes, Kyle Larson broke loose, but Kyle Busch made his entry as difficult as humanly possible. Kyle Busch put himself in a very vulnerable position because he was mad. He was pissy. He overreacted yet again. He overreacted to what Ricky Stenhouse did at North Wilkesboro, wrecked him on purpose. He overreacted here today, and he cost himself. I don't know what else to say. Kyle Busch, I've been saying it for a few weeks now, doesn't look like himself. Or he does. He does look like himself. He looks like the younger, immature, pre-championship Kyle Busch, when he'd let his emotions get out of hand and would sometimes cost himself and his team. That's the version of Kyle Busch we see right now. I get it. He's frustrated. RCR hasn't been that good this year. His cars have not been as good this year. He's bordering on a playoff spot right now. I understand. This is unprecedented territory. It's now been a full year since his last Cup Series win. That streak is in jeopardy. I understand the frustration, but I would hope that a 2-time champion, a much older, wiser, I thought mellowed out Kyle Busch would be able to handle this adversity a bit better. He's not. He's not. I feel for him on one hand because he's a world-class athlete going through a slump, but at the same time, moves like this, he's costing himself. Needs to be better. Outside of Kyle Busch, a couple other notable finishers. Josh Berry had a flat tire, it sounded like, per Rodney Childers on social media. Cost him a good finish. He raced up into the top 5, partially on strategy, but I think they had decent speed. And Martin Truex Jr. winds up 34th. He too had a flat tire, was able to nurse it back to pit road, but finished this race off the lead lap, which was a shame because outside of, I guess, Blaney and Cindric, maybe, Truex was probably the only other car that seemed to be able to almost keep pace with Christopher Bell, at least in my opinion. Truex finishing 34th is a big deal when you consider he was second in the regular season standings coming into tonight. That's going to knock him down the rankings quite a bit. Going to lose a lot of ground to Hamlin, Larson in that regular season championship fight. But there you go. There's a look at the top 15 top finishers today at Gateway, St. Louis. We've hit on all the big stuff. I think it's time we put this race on the Groovy Gauge. Yes, the Groovy Gauge is powered by Electric E-Bikes. Head to electricebikes.com, find a ride that suits you. Summer is here, great weather, get outside. This was an eventful race. Hard to pass for sure, but plenty of strategy to keep things interesting. New names, new faces up front, getting their chance to lead, to test out that clean air for themselves. Kept me on the edge of my seat. Bell was obviously the best car, but because of the way strategy shook out, he didn't lead a single lap, I'm pretty sure, in the final stage of this race. Bell pit for 2 tires and restarted 13th at the start of stage 3, and we got to watch him work his way through the field up into the top 5, the final cycle of green flag pit stops. Where's everyone going to come out? How much ground does Bell have to make up? Watch him make that ground up, get to Blaney's door. Great battle between those two. It is a shame that neither of them ended up winning this race because that was a one-on-one fight for the ages. But then the twists of Bell blowing a motor, Blaney out of gas, and Austin Cindric steals the win. I'm not sure how fans will feel about that, but I was thoroughly entertained. The entire race did not have that same energy, but the finish, as I always say, is the most important part of a race. It's when the most people are tuned into their TVs. This race had a very memorable finish. I'm going to go 80% for Gateway. Yeah, I thought this was a really good NASCAR Cup Series race. You look at who was up front at the end, it was probably the 3 most deserving drivers. Bell, fastest car all day. Blaney, good strategy, great job holding him off. And Cindric, with his best non-super speedway performance ever. They deserved to settle this race between the 3 of them, and more or less, they did. Or at least that's how things shook out. So 80% for me. Let me know in the comments if you agree or if you disagree. Whew, we've made it through the episode. I'm still shaking a little bit. That was great drama there towards the end. Thank you all so much for watching this episode. Hope you enjoyed. Leave a like if you enjoyed this episode. Subscribe if you're new to the channel. We talk NASCAR every single day, talk about news, rumors, react to races, and more. And a huge thank you to my very generous Patreon supporters. I will see you all again probably tomorrow. Have a wonderful rest of your weekend, folks. I'll catch you again real soon.